Good evening and welcome to Wednesday Night Wellness Live. I'm Dr. Andrew Merrill here at Nightlight Chiropractic, and this video that we do every week, this Wednesday Night Wellness Live video, as you can tell, is live, first of all, but also it helps to cover all the questions that we get from our patients week in, week out, with some of the common answers that are going to help you, the viewer, our patient, our friend, to kind of get well from certain conditions that we all kind of suffer from. And so tonight what we're going to talk about is shoulder pain. Right? It's kind of weird, right? Most people think of chiros only in the context of back pain, neck pain, and headaches, and that's because we have reams of research that prove that we do very well with these things. But what we want to talk about tonight is shoulder pain, because there's a lot of research on chiropractic and shoulder pain. It's just that it's much less well known by the general population about how well we do in treating shoulders. And so tonight, as we discuss shoulder pain, I need you to understand that much like back pain, there's a lot of different causes of shoulder pain, and we'll cover just a couple of the more common ones here tonight, and a couple of the more common ways to get those different kinds of shoulder pain. But understand that your shoulder pain may not be like any of the shoulder pain that we talk about here this evening. It is important to get a correct diagnosis from your medical doctor, your chiropractor, your physical therapist before you begin any treatment program. So just keep that in mind as we're talking here this evening. Anyway, so let's jump right into it here. The shoulder, this complex joint or collection of joints and muscles and connective tissue, gives up some things and gets some things in return versus a lot of the other joints in our body and a lot of other mammals on the planet which have similar shoulders, right? So our shoulder is designed to have extra range of motion compared to our hip, but what we give up in exchange for that range of motion is stability, right? So your hips are designed to be load-bearing all day, lots of stability, but less range of motion. Your shoulders have a lot more range of motion, but they are also much more prone to injury because they have less stability. So a couple of different ways that we see injuries commonly caused, and maybe this has happened to you, is things at the gym. Just about everything at the gym that involves your upper body has the potential to injure your shoulder. So it's really important that you are careful and dedicated and focused while you're at the gym on what you're doing. We actually see less injuries from the gym than from general activities of daily living, and a lot of that has to do with the fact that you are paying attention to the gym, which is good. Keep up the good work. Just understand that a lot of the lifts that you're doing have the potential to injure your shoulder. We see a lot of injuries from sleeping on the side, right? Like if you sleep on your side on a firm mattress, like we talked about last week, you can end up compressing that joint just a little bit. You end up with some injury to the acromioclavicular joint, or you can end up with some injury to your rotator cuff, actually. And then definitely falls. So we see a lot of people who have fallen either during a sporting thing, or maybe just because it's icy outside, or from a variety of things. Any kind of fall where you land onto your shoulder or onto your side has the potential to create injury to that shoulder. So what are we talking about exactly, this complex of joints that makes up your shoulder? You have your glenohumeral joint, which is that ball and socket joint, which everyone thinks of because it is the primary joint of that shoulder. Kind of robust, held together with a lot of connective tissue, including the labrum, which goes underneath that ball and socket. You hear a lot of labrum injuries. And then we have two accessory joints. We have the acromioclavicular joint, which is where your clavicle comes across and attaches right next to that ball and socket joint. And then underneath, what we have is your scapulothoracic joint, which is where your shoulder blade slides over your ribs. And again, it's really, really important to make sure that that is moving correctly. Otherwise, everything kind of breaks down. You end up with inflammation in the soft tissues, and then everything kind of falls apart. So those are the three joints that we're talking about as we go over this, and these are the three joints that chiropractors work on, right? So it's kind of weird to think about. We talk about a lot of soft tissue injury, and we'll go over the specific injuries here in just a second, but and we think about, the only way to rehab a shoulder is to rehab the muscles and the connective tissue, and that's not true, right? So I'm going to quote a little bit of research, and as I started making today's speech, as I started talking about this yesterday, I realized I don't want to beat you guys over the head with research, right? It's out there. You can go find it. In fact, 2 weeks ago, I talked about evidence-based research, and I actually showed you where you can go find it, right? So if you ever want to see all the stuff that I'm talking about, all the stuff that I'm completely inundated with and in the thick of, you can always go find it at pubmed.gov, or you can let me beat you over the head with it. So what we're going to talk about here is in 2010, 2014, and again in 2018, what they looked at was chiropractors treating people with shoulder injuries. That's pre-surgery and post-surgery in the case of that 2018 research article that came out here, I guess about 2 years ago, year and a half ago. And what they found was in as little as 2 visits, that means 2 adjustments, just for the joints. All we're doing is adjusting the joint. What we were able to do is reduce pain, disability, and increase quality of life in as little as 2 visits, right? The goal isn't just to get a little bit of relief, which is clinically significant. The goal is actually to get patients back to what they need to do, which we need to understand function is not across the board systematic metric. Right? When we talk about function, like function of your shoulder for an 18-year-old high school volleyball player is a whole lot different than function for an 80-year-old woman who just knits all day, right? The function there is immensely different. So it's important to understand when we're trying to get somebody back to normal function, that it's not all the same across the board, right? So, like I said before, the chiropractor treats the joints, right? We adjust the joints. There's a variety of different ways for us to get those joints moving again. We're trying to restore proper orientation of those joints, meaning if they're out of whack, if they're not connecting appropriately, if a bone is just a little bit out of position with another bone, you get a joint that doesn't move properly, and we can adjust all of those different joints to get good outcomes. Now, in that same research that I was just talking about from a few different papers, what we looked at was not just adjusting the shoulder and those 3 joints in the shoulder, we also looked at adjusting the neck and the upper back and the ribs as they articulate with the thoracic spine, because all of these things come into play when you're moving your shoulder. So if you've ever had shoulder pain, you need to understand that even if it started at the labrum, let's say, because that shoulder is not moving properly, all of a sudden you're going to have issues with the other musculature that attaches. You could have other issues with even the neck and the upper back as time goes on, because when your shoulder is not moving right, it affects so many other tissues. So even though the chiropractor in these studies was only adjusting the joints, we do a lot more than that, right? So in my office, we do a variety of other things to help get patients well from their shoulder injuries, because we realize that even though it's not all about the soft tissues, it's not also all about the joints. So we're trying to take this global approach to getting the shoulder moving again. So we'll adjust all of the different joints. That's my part of the job. But then my job kind of ends, right? So I've got this great staff here. If you've ever been here, I mean, give it up for my staff. They're amazing. But this great staff behind me kind of runs all the other therapies that we recommend and do for certain injuries, including electrical stim, where we use some electrical pads to run electricity through the different muscle groups and ligaments. It increases blood supply without increasing heat, so it can be really good for a lot of different conditions. We do some ultrasound. So ultrasound uses sound waves to penetrate deeper into the tissues, where they then do turn into heat, again increasing blood supply. That's the common theme with all this stuff: lasers, ultrasound, electrical stim, even massage and manual therapy to a certain extent. All are designed to increase blood supply, because what does blood do, right? It delivers oxygen to the tissues and helps to remove debris from the area, which allows your body to just heal normally, right? That's all we're trying to accomplish, is getting everything else out of the way so your body can do what it does best, which is put new cells in the area and repair tissue. So we're doing all these other things, this manual therapy in addition. So my massage therapist here doing manual therapy, again, not just to increase blood supply, but also to restore normal tissue tone, really important to getting shoulders well. So a couple of different, I think I wrote it down here, a couple of different injuries and types of shoulder dysfunction that we see here. Gosh, I'd written it down. Adhesive capsulitis, shoulder sprains, strains. We have, there's a variety of other ones. It's, oh my gosh, I can't find it here anywhere. Oh, so much for my notes. Anyways, there's a variety of different shoulder complaints, not just joint complaints, that we do very well at treating. But one of the ones that I wanted to talk about here this evening is rotator cuff injuries, because that's throughout the literature. We do great with rotator cuff injuries. But first you need to understand what the rotator cuff is and does, right? So a lot of people use this word completely wrong. Actually, I hear rotator cup a lot. I think it's C-U-P, like rotator cup, like it's a cup of something. I don't know. I don't know what people are hearing when we're saying this stuff. But the rotator cuff is 4 muscles that come across from your back across, and they all insert right here into your shoulder, and they allow you to move your arm out and in just a little bit for the greater or lesser part, right? They do a couple other small actions, they assist in other things, but for the most part, they allow you to turn your arm in and out. And it's very easy to injure these, right? So everyone thinks that these are big, healthy muscles or big, thick muscles. These things are teeny tiny strips of muscle that all work together to ensure that it's creating a little bit of stability to the shoulder, but also ensuring that you can do that external rotation, internal rotation of the shoulder. Really easy to injure that rotator cuff, and once it's been injured once, that tendinitis or that grade 1 or grade 2 tear, as long as it's not a full thickness tear, will heal, but it heals into something called tendinosis. And tendinosis is when that tendon or that muscle is not as strong as it used to be. It's developed some scar tissue. It looks different as opposed to other normal healthy tissue. And as happens when you have tissue that's not normal like that and kind of haphazardly put together, it's very easy to re-tear. So you end up with an original rotator cuff injury turning into tendinosis, which then re-tears every time you even pick up a baseball. You pick up a baseball to throw to your kid, and you've already retorn that. You've already re-injured your shoulder. So it's important that you understand that if you have a rotator cuff injury, you need to continuously rehab this thing. I mean, you need to go out of your way to make sure that you're doing a good job rehabbing this shoulder. Whether it's here at the office, whether it's on your own, you need to just make sure that it is a constant priority for you. And speaking of that, we give a lot of exercises here. I use a lot of these little booklets that I'll give to patients. We'll go over the exercises very briefly. I'll say, here's the pages I want you to do. Here's how I want you to do them. And then that's it, right? So my goal isn't to, maybe like a physical therapist's office, I have no interest in sitting there counting and watching you do these exercises. I just don't. It's important that you do them. I give them to you, and they are equally as important to everything that we do in office. It's just that I don't really want to watch you do them, right? I'm going to give them to you, and I trust that you are going to do them exactly like I showed you how to do them, and I trust that you're going to do them as often as we talk about you doing them. And if you don't, well, that's not on me, right? That's on you. That's your job, is to do these exercises. If you're looking for something more dedicated, where somebody's going to count your reps and your sets, that's not us. So that might be physical therapy, that might be a personal trainer, but the exercises are important. It's just that we look at them a little bit differently than maybe a lot of other offices. So anyways, tonight though, I wanted to share with you my favorite shoulder exercise that I bet you're not doing. And for this, I actually I borrowed a lentil soup can, Progresso lentil soup can from my wife. I say borrowed because she looked at me kind of incredulously like I wasn't going to bring it back. But Terry, I am going to bring this back just as soon as I'm done with it, and it's going to be in perfect shape. So here's what you do with this soup can. This is called a soup can exercise, and it's designed to strengthen the rotator cuff as we're doing it. And you're going to take it and you're going to make sure that it's closed, right? Because that would be really messy if you don't. You're going to turn it over, right? And then you are going to let it fall all the way down to your waist, and then it's going to come all the way back up to parallel. And this thing's only about 2 pounds, right? This thing's only about 2 pounds. But what you'll find is that even if you have strong shoulders, right? Even if you have good rotator cuffs and no rotator cuff tendinosis, that after you do about 15 to 20 of these, your arm is going to start to get tired. You're going to start to shake as you bring it all the way up there. You're going to start to cheat and lean backwards so that it's easier to bring that soup can up. And this is all it takes, right? So you're surrounded by these kind of sort of, like I don't recommend you eat a ton of canned food, but I mean, you have these in your kitchen right now. I guarantee it. You don't need weights. You don't need to go to the gym. You don't need to wait for that perfect, ideal moment to do these shoulder exercises. You can, next time you're in the kitchen, just grab one of these from the pantry or from the cabinet, and you're going to take it and do these exercises while you're waiting for dinner to cook. Very easy, very simple. It's only going to take you 20 or 30 of these things, and you're going to start to cheat, and you're going to start to shake, and that's when you know that you're done. And if you just do that, 2 or 3 times a week while you're cooking dinner, because you have to do that anyways, what you're going to notice is that your shoulders are more stable, and you're going to be less prone to injuring the rotator cuff and a lot of other shoulder tissues if you do, unfortunately, fall, if you do sleep on your side, if you do something bad at the gym, if you do all these other things that we were just talking about. So anyways, that is all I have for this evening. If you have any questions for me, I see this little comment section down here at the bottom where you could write a comment to me. It would pop up to me right now and I could read it. But also, well after this video is done being live and I am at home sleeping, this video is going to be there. And if you watch this video and you have comments or questions, feel free to hit me up, right? It's going to show up in my feed. It's going to come right to my phone when I wake up in the morning, and I'd be happy to answer your questions. Keep in mind, too, that if you like some of this information, maybe not the presenter, but the information, you can go to www.nightlightchiropractic.com. And you can sign up for our newsletter. And our newsletter has all of this information and more. It has videos and diagrams and all kinds of other great information. And it's not just me spouting my mouth and going on weird tangents and messing up my notes. It's very, very dedicated, and it's designed for you. We're not selling anything. I'm not selling anything. What I'm trying to do is keep you, my viewer, my patient, my friend, happy and well. So again, this is Wednesday Night Wellness Live. Have a wonderful rest of your week and weekend. I will see you next Wednesday for another Wednesday Night Wellness Live. Good night.